Welcome to another episode of Retrospect. This is a show where three guys come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I am joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And X-Man.
Hey, everybody.
And then today is a very special day.
Very special?
Drum roll.
I mean,
is it really that special?
Well, I don't count three guys. I count an extra.
I mean, and again, this is the second guest besides
Yes.
Hottie Dr. Fat, and it's Mr. Steven.
Hi, everyone.
He's a buddy of
Stevie
ours.
Wonder.
Stevie Wonder, yeah.
Steve-O. I like that one, too. That's good.
Stevie
We had a conversation a couple weeks back, and I was like, is it okay if I use that in the podcast? And the more we talked about it and the more engaged he was in talking about it, I was like, you know what? Do you just want to come on the show?
Well, yeah, and
So-
thank you. I was just into coffee that day, and you just gave me another cup of coffee, so let's roll. with it.
You know,
Yeah.
hey,
You can always get a good cup of coffee here. That's never a
I
problem.
try.
I'm excited because he even has the podcast voice, I like it.
exactly. So what was the question you said specifically?
Okay, so officially, what is your take on the digital art landscape?
Mm.
What a great question.
Is that balancing with the old art compared to it, or is that just
So like
Where art
art in the
seems to-
digital
yeah.
age?
Well,
or
art in the digital age.
art in the
yes.
digital age. Okay.
Because we're kind of going through a thing where,
it's changing.
right.
Like Van Gogh exhibit doesn't look like it used to.
Oh no! Now
Have you
can-
seen the
now
traveling
they have-
Van Gogh?
Yeah, I was fixing to say. Now you have that one, plus you have the hologram of another artist just plastered on the walls. It's not really their art. It's
Yeah.
just somebody digitized it and is showing it projection on a wall. So
That's crazy.
And they have the ability right now to take Bob Ross and create a hologram of him painting right there with you, and you can learn.
Oh my gosh,
from
that sounds
him.
wonderful.
that's kind of cool. That's-
Whatever amount of money that takes my wallet,
Right.
whatever is appropriate.
I do that anyway because I do art. I do that anyway with my Bob Ross bobblehead. I just kind of
Nice.
stick him wherever I'm painting.
You really have a Bob Ross.
I really do. Yeah,
That's awesome.
I really do. And I want it as a white elephant
let's
Christmas
plan a
gift.
little-
And nobody wanted that damn thing except for me. And
Of
I was like,
course.
give me Bob Ross. I want him.
Let's plan
Yes.
a happy little tree
Oh, yeah.
here.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Let's put
happy
a little happy
tree.
little bird.
And let's put these little mountains.
So I remember
I think
the
a mountain should go right here.
Only happy little accidents.
That's right, that's right.
The story you had started off with, you were saying, I thought you set it up very well because I
Okay.
didn't. It was one of those stories that like you set up and then the payoff was really interesting and it was not what I was expecting. You had said that you were looking for a way to write. And you were looking for a way to make recipes and like how to write them in such a way that they're
Right.
interesting. And you were saying like you see all these. Or
Yeah.
what was it? What was it? Go ahead and take it away.
So I, in my other life, I cook.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys have looked on the internet for recipes, but every recipe, it doesn't matter
like a
where
novel.
it doesn't matter where you click. It's like,
Once upon
I
a
don't
time.
know about you, but whenever I think of marmalade, I think of my
Yeah.
grandmother and
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard, and and you got to scroll and scroll and scroll.
Yeah.
It's
All
like
the way
2
through the whole
lines.
story.
Yeah.
And then if you're not careful, like the ingredients list is intermingled between all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
paragraphs.
like they keep you hooked. So I was like, "What is this?" And then I was also looking because I've always been really good at writing. So one of my friends had told me like you can be a ghostwriter
Yeah.
for like some little extra cash.
Yeah.
And then so that's what it is. Like the Food Network, or can we say?
Hey,
I don't know.
yeah.
Sure.
All right. So like all these websites.
They might even like to sponsor us. Food Network. If you'd like
Well, I
to
don't know
sponsor us,
about
please
you.
let us know.
Whenever I think of Food Network, I think of
Right.
long, endless stories. No, but so that's a ghostwriter. And I didn't know that. So somebody gets paid to just kind of like make
a story.
8
yeah.
paragraphs of that. So, but what was the website? I mean, the app.
Oh, you mean Fiverr?
Fiverr.
Which is like
Yeah.
a freelance. Like
Yeah.
you as an artist can go onto this website
Yeah.
and then say like for an X amount of money I can draw a picture of you, or I can write a
Right.
book for you, or it's kind of like it's a freelance
Like a
artist.
classified, basically,
Right.
for
Or
freelance.
like, again, I'm a musician, and a lot of times people will say, like, if you give me an idea, I can make a jingle for your commercial or
Right.
something, like that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Can we get one for the podcast?
Hey, that would be cool. We need some jingle music and a
Right.
recipe. A retrospective dish of the day.
I think that art as a whole is so encompassing. I have a chef friend. Her name is Dominique Corinne. She's in San Francisco. She's one of the very few 2-star Michelin star chefs in the world. And you go sit down and you eat, and the menu is a poem.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it's one of those restaurants where they show you it's a plate with like this little bitty thing on it. And you go,
Right,
well,
right.
I'm going to spend how much for that? But you don't realize in that poem, there's 32 courses.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So as you're reading the poem, it's one thing, and it's timed. It's
Yeah.
its own art in a way, if you think
Right.
about it. And that is just amazing to go there, and it just takes you through this story, through this poem, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to need like unlimited wine and breadsticks. I'm just saying for something, because my attention span is like this long.
Oh, man.
So I love that idea, and I'm sure
Squirrel.
it's amazing. But let me tell you, I'd probably be toasted after about 6 of them because it doesn't take long to get me drunk.
Right.
And then the other thing is that I'd probably be making up and going off course and driving everybody crazy and creating new art out of
course.
Yeah.
and that, of course, offending the artist. But I will say to Steve-O, dude, I have had your food, and it in and of itself is art. So I just want to say, regardless of where you go or what you do in your life, you're already an artiste.
Well,
Yeah, culinary artiste.
well,
Yeah.
thank you. I don't take it as many as twists and turns as that, but the plate kind of.
I don't know,
Takes
man.
itself.
Just make me another plate of bacon jam.
Maybe
or
that's
whatever
what maybe that's what you need to do now. You need to
Nice.
have a story
Yeah.
associated with your
Yeah.
salad. You got
I
going
don't.
on.
I don't know about you guys, but whenever I taste bacon jam, I
Oh,
think.
man.
He had me a bacon jam and goat cheese. Bacon jam and goat cheese. Man.
But okay, so
and
you were,
mashed potatoes.
so you were saying
Yeah,
that
mashed
you were
potatoes too,
you
yeah.
were looking for a way to like
Yeah.
ghostwrite on Fiverr of some way.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys have been on Fiverr. I recommend it.
Right.
Again, I don't know.
It's a
if we're-
fun time
So-
sometimes.
yeah. No, totally. There's there's
Entertaining.
It's entertaining, yeah.
there's a ton of that. It's like gigs for musicians,
Right.
producers, all the
I
other
don't
stuff.
think they have a slot for my skill set.
Well,
I'm not an artist.
I don't know.
So you three
One-
guys are artists. I have a different.
yours
set of
is more like a
skills.
dark art.
Yeah.
It's kind of when you're basically wishing death on
Just
someone.
saying.
Call Stoney.
Y'all are the artists, so
That's okay. You can do
This will
freelance
be
security.
one of the first podcasts. I don't have a whole lot to say, but I do have some interjections on the
Just
art
sitting here in
world.
this circle, I'm thinking, wow, I have some really diverse friends. Like,
Right.
one will feed you and keep you alive. The other one will kill you without thinking twice.
There you go.
The other one makes the best cup of coffee in town.
There you go.
Well, that's
I'll
why
take
an
care of you.
Italian woman is the best. 'Cause she'll shoot you and then bring you ravioli to the hospital in case you're hungry.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, but then you were saying you got kind of down a rabbit hole
Yeah.
of Fiverr where you were just looking at some strange stuff.
So I'm on ghostwriting and it's normal stuff, and then there's more twists and turns, right? So
Yeah.
like the NFT thing, which is like
Oh,
you
yeah.
know that's
I
huge.
don't even. I'm probably the youngest one here, and I still don't fully grasp what's going
Well,
on in that whole market.
This rabbit hole I had to understand.
Right.
I had to understand it. So I started I had to click it and
Yeah.
chase it.
Of course.
So
Did you have to get out your other device and get on the Google?
I got on dim internet.
Yeah, right. He asked Jeeves.
Yeah.
right. I'm going to Snopes. Is this a real thing?
Right. Oh man.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. So there's ghostwriting for one thing, video games. They're like, I charge, there's several people who charge like thousands of dollars to write a story for somebody's like Grand Theft Auto
Yeah,
character,
like custom
or
character.
custom characters,
Yeah.
or like NFTs. Somebody buys an NFT, which is just
Like a little JPEG picture.
yeah. And then it's like,
And it
it has nothing to it, right? So
Right.
then it's like, I'll pay somebody to write a story about it. And that's why I asked about you guys, because that is 100%. Like, I'm speaking out my generation. Like, there's no way that you're going to get $1,000. I don't care what's on that NFT or whatever. You're not getting $1,000 to write a story for some picture that I've already paid, whatever.
Right.
You know.
So like the thing he was talking about is like you pay for this digital image, digital only image that inherently is worth a money value
because no one else has that picture.
Right.
Period.
But
Right.
then,
Am I understanding that right?
Supposedly, yeah.
Right. Supposedly,
Yeah.
nobody has this picture.
Yeah,
And then you pay extra to give it a backstory.
Exactly. So then you pay extra money, upwards of a couple $1,000s possibly, to then create a story around it, to then make it more valuable, quote unquote.
Right.
And then that was the discussion we had, was like, well, like that's.
It's basically the legal witness protection program, if you want to know, Stoney. So you create an alias for something that already exists that's convincing enough that people will pay for it.
So true.
And then we got started on the conversation about art and value in art. I believe we talked about this on the podcast before, but we were talking about there's a painting in my office, and it in and of itself, it's a very simple painting. It is a white canvas with a black cross on it. And I was like, you look at this and you're like, it's probably a beautiful painting, but it doesn't intrinsically have a whole bunch of value on it. It's obviously...
But who determines that value?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, so for me, there was a story behind it, and there is recorded video evidence of the picture being painted, and like very thought-provoking stuff being said over the painting happening. And it meant a lot to me. And I was like, and so that painting has a lot of value and I was like, as opposed to Steven over here, it probably has no real value in some capacity.
Right. Well, because I have a piece of art.
Yeah.
That there ain't no amount of money.
Right.
Unless it's enough to get your dream going and my dream going too.
Then it'd be everything has its price.
I'm going to call you up and say, hey, dog, look.
I love you, but...
No, I'm going to say how much you want. What's worth for me to get another one from you? So, but yeah, that's my value. There's no money in the world for that.
So let me tell you as an artist, because I've commissioned pieces and I've been in art my whole life. So I've started very young. I was raised in the art community, whether that be music or painting or whatever. The first time I really got into the painting world is when I won my high school art show as a junior in high school.
Oh, wow.
And this dude offered me $300. Now, this is back in the day. $300 was a lot of money for a piece of work by
especially as a junior in high school.
Kid. And I refused to sell it because it was... I loved that it was worth that to him. And so then it was kind of like, well, if it's worth 300, then like, I should keep it,
Right.
And so, and you know how kids are, like your whole view of money is a little bit different. Right. And so I kept that painting. I still have
a question.
That
Let me throw this at you. Does your status change when somebody buys your first one? Like my cooking, I'm published. My recipes are published in magazines.
Yeah.
I've done TV.
Yep.
Does that status change when you say I've sold my first piece?
Yeah, it does, and I'll tell you why. Like my wife, my wife got into furniture painting, and so all of a sudden, people were wanting art that went over her furniture pieces. So the way I got back into it to where I was actually an artist that was a like commission worthy artist, was I started putting finishes on her furniture pieces. I would help her.
Cool.
And these finishes on the furniture were more artistic finishes that you couldn't find anywhere because I was an art guy. And I also was not afraid of color. So everything out in the world the last 20 years has been white because of Chip and Joanna Gaines. Right. The farm people from Waco, Texas. So anyway, so I had just the opposite of that. Everything I had was colorful and all these finishes were colorful, and her business exploded. Like it went crazy because we weren't afraid to put color on things. Yeah. And so then her clients started commissioning me to paint pieces over them, and I was making, $300, $400, $500 pop on commissioned art pieces to hang over their dressers and stuff. And that's what got me started. And so and then just recently I've actually had someone here local invite me to sell retail in their fine arts and furniture store. And so it's been really, really cool journey.
Yeah.
But yes, once you get that piece sold and once that, the word gets out that you're like a commissionable artist and you grow that talent, the other thing is the more you do it and the more you sell, better you are at it. And so it's just like anything else. And so your paintings become more in depth and more thoughtful and that kind of thing.
Because
so,
how many artists died paupers?
Well, that's
so has
the
digital age brought us into an easier way to make money
Of course.
through art?
What's going to be
That's my
interesting
first
about
thing.
the digital age is you're going to make even more money as a dead artist because they can resurrect you digitally.
Right.
And so they can take your
Right.
art and transform it. If you look at the traveling Van Gogh exhibit right now, I mean, it is high tech. They're doing environmental art where they're putting Van Gogh paintings. They're environmentally projecting them onto the whole rooms.
Oh, wow.
And so that's the way you go to a Van Gogh exhibit now. You don't look at paintings in a frame. You look at
Right. A
digital
room,
art
yeah.
and you're immersed in the art.
That's
like you're in the
crazy.
painting. And so it's a really cool experience. But
Yeah.
You've been?
I haven't, and I have tickets. We should all go together.
I want to go.
Oh, please.
For there's one that's not far away from us right now, so it's about an hour away.
Okay.
Oh, that
And
sounds
so
wonderful.
we should go. We should
Yeah.
go.
That sounds wonderful.
Geo.
Do we stop at Total
GH.
Wine before or after?
I've already stopped. My trunk is stocked.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's easier now to make money with the digital age, but is that changing what art is?
Art.
I mean-
I think art is changed.
I think, because for me specifically, NFTs are something I don't understand. We've talked about it a couple times here today, and it's that intrinsically is some form of art that has a number value associated with it. It's like I don't know how all that works with like computers and everything as well, but it's like it's this overlapping of two worlds that is this whole new expression of
So
it.
here's the third world.
Oh,
the
gosh.
third dimension.
It's about to
So
rock our brains.
Yeah. So this is where, because I was like, why? So I'm with you. Like, so if you paint a painting,
yeah.
now abstract or whatever, you can find your own meaning to it.
Mhm.
But I mean, you can, if you like the painting or not, it's right there.
Yep.
Now, if you have an NFT, which is basically just a digital like file that shows that you have ownership to it,
Right.
but it doesn't really have value like that. It's just a digital file, right? But if it has no use, like if you have a painting, you can hang it on the wall.
Right.
This is a digital file. If you like it, what are you going to do with it? You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
you just
right.
Make
have
it your
it.
But you can
profile.
use it to make money. You own that information or that content or that whatever.
Right.
So you can use it and you own it. So you can use it in whatever way you can to make money and no one else can use it. That's yours. That's like, I heard some star is doing that. They want to make a little money. So they have 3 or 4 of these NFTs going out there that they've sold. They put it up for bid.
Yeah.
How much are you willing to pay for this digital piece of information?
Right.
And people are spending.
But I see where you're going with it because if you give it a cool enough backstory, it will increase the value
Right.
because
And then
people are going to be attracted to it, and they're going to idolize that just like they do Michael Jordan
Oh, of
for
course.
playing basketball. I mean, all
Right.
of a sudden,
Right. And
dang man.
and then the third dimension of it
Okay.
is the metaverse.
Oh gosh.
yeah.
Wow.
So the digital copy can then, whenever they apply more things to the metaverse, is then you can have a Van Gogh painting
In the metaverse.
In your metaverse.
And this is why this is important. It's because it's all being digitized. Everything.
Right.
Money,
Oh, yeah.
digital. When's the last time you opened a checkbook?
Oh my gosh.
Like never.
For me, it's carrying cash.
You barely even have to open your wallet anymore. Half the time you can just patch your wallet up against the whatever you're at and it'll register. But anyway, so seriously, like all of this is going digital. Also, we have a space issue on this planet and a resource consumption issue.
Yeah.
There is only so many trees we can cut down to create so much paper before we have to go digital with everything, just because we don't have the space or the resources to continue to create all the stuff that we need. And so having a digital art form is going to be like the total thing. And just think of this one day when your house is nothing but a digitally projected
Oh,
digital space.
I recently, talking about, if we can take a little offshoot from that, I recently was playing a game called Contractors on my VR headset with a friend of mine. We were both in the same living room, and they're playing a game together where we're like running around like Call of Duty, like shooting guys or whatever. And I was like, this is so intense and fun, but it was wild. And it's like, like you said before, it's like having your own digital home of some kind is crazy to think about.
It's crazy. Like to be able to just, I mean, it makes sense. Like, everybody wants an escape. So, you can create your own environment there. I mean,
well, just think about all the games that are out there, and people spend thousands and millions of dollars to buy a skin for their character, or a pet for their character, or a cup for their kitchen. You can't outfit your house unless you spend money on it. Well, this is not a real house.
Right.
We're going to look weird in about 20,000 years. We're going to be like a head, a big giant brain.
20,000?
We're going to be a head. We're going to be like two hands so that we can
20,000. Dude, I bet 10 years. A solid 10 years.
And maybe a penis or something so we can reproduce. Right?
Well, there's actually, I hate to do this again, but I want to promote the aftermath. There's a movie, and I think Bruce Willis was in it, where you don't leave your house anymore.
Yeah.
You're actually in this kind of a couch.
Oh my God,
thing.
that's like 2020. The whole year.
Yeah, and nobody leaves the house anymore.
Wow.
And you go to work, you drive, you do everything, you go hiking, you do everything, and you never leave your house. I got to remember that movie. You've seen it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll tell you this.
You've seen every other movie.
I know. I don't know about that one, but it really was 2020. My kids almost didn't survive that. Like, I swear. Like, if I had to homeschool them in one more episode, I was not designed to be a homeschool teacher. I just want you to know that.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, but I tell you what, this whole digital art thing, that's fascinating. Thank you for bringing that. That's really cool. That's a really cool topic to talk about.
I mean, it's a whole nother world. Like, it's really like kind of watching the Matrix start.
Yeah, if anybody wants to commission me to make you one of those NFTs, I'm in.
I'll write a story.
I am now. Ghost Rider, Steve-O the Ghost Rider will hook you up, and X-Man will make you a image.
There you go.
And then Stoney can conjure up the actual image because he's in the dark.
And Stoney can make it. Stoney can give it its. Stoney can impart a dark side to it.
Right.
And Ian, you can be the good side.
I love it. I will interpret all of it with a nice cup of coffee.
No, he'll boss it around basically until if it doesn't stop, he'll pull its plug.
Oh gosh, I see how it is. But
that's what producers do.
So we were also having a conversation as well about you were saying you do a lot of abstract art and how people were saying had some like negative comments about how.
I actually had to remove someone from my social media page platform because she was so rude. And so here's what she said. This piece, it was abstract.
Okay.
So I'll tell you this. I paint both in portrait style and in abstract style, as well as others, but those two are styles that I had recently done.
Right.
And she said, this piece, it was an abstract piece. She goes, it's not like your other work. And is it art really?
Oh gosh!
The art world is snobby.
Well,
exactly.
Itself,
I hate to be mean, but we try to offend at least one person.
Right.
On the show.
Well, and this is an artist speaking. So I've seen her work, and she does these beautiful detailed drawings. I mean, the quality of like Coca-Cola ads, like the polar bears and Santa Claus and stuff at Christmas, like that quality. She's really high caliber. But is that art? And and this is right after a post that a lady said, this brings me a feeling of freshness and joy. I'm not usually a yellow person, but this is doing it for me. Like I'm, just the whole garden feel of it and everything. So she was all into it. And then this lady is like, but is it art really?
But if just because you do something a little bit different than somebody else, why do you have to cast shade on it?
Right.
Why can't you just be happy that, you're talented, you have your skill set, and this person over here is obviously doing well with it. Why can't you just congratulate them and be happy for
Here's
them?
my point. This person is someone I know.
This
is someone I know. And the other thing I thought is, that this is a social media platform from which I typically sell my stuff.
Right.
So why would you post that? Number one, it's almost like working against me. And number two is like, there's what's that movie that had the questions? Is it important? is it necessary, and is it kind? Those were the three questions. And as I'm going through those three questions, that is not important.
No.
It is definitely not necessary, and it is completely unkind. And so it's kind of like, what is the purpose of that? Is it just because you got on your computer late at night and you decided you could get bold and behind whatever, little statement you can make? But honestly, I didn't even talk to her about it. I just cut her off my page, and here's why. It's not because she had that view.
Wrong place, wrong time.
I don't care if you don't like abstract art.
Right.
Not a problem. I don't have anything against people who don't like abstract art. It's just when you have to offend
you have
people in their forum, in their own, like, in effect, potentially them, like, why?
Yeah.
Because our world has gotten kind of crass, and the relationship was less important than her opinion of that piece. And that's where it's kind of like, you know what? We don't need to be friends. I don't need to pretend to be your Facebook friend when that's how you feel.
Can I tell you a story about that? That has an optimistic ending to it.
Yeah.
So I have a friend of mine, and he is really big into jazz music. He and I used to play back in the day for a lot, and like some really funky stuff. Like I mean, but he went to school for it, so he has like a degree, and he's a very talented musician. And he used to look at other forms of music as less than, and used to then like subsequently shit on it as like, well, it's not high caliber jazz like I'm doing. Right. And I kind of had like that outlook about some stuff, like this is simple music and it's not that good, and is it even really art or music? But as I got older and really experienced the world around me, I was like, okay, I can see art in many forms, and everyone has their own way of doing things. And he didn't. And he used to really he used to be in his own bubble and listen to his classics and his people that he used to just love listening to. And I was totally cool with it. And he would do the same sort of thing. He would try and really step on some toes to really prove a point that he was like, but that's not art though, or that's not real music.
Right.
But
so who defines art?
Who
defines art? If it's art to you, how is it not art to you?
Exactly. But
who defines it?
At the end of the story, though, over the past couple of years, he has softened up his sharp edges, and he has tried some things. And I have been the one to be able to show him some stuff and like really go, this may not be your cup of tea, but listen to this one thing. And he's like, wow, that's actually really good. And I was like, okay, cool. Now we can like really dig into this. And then I've gotten him into some like really crazy stuff that like he would have never listened to 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, and that's the whole point of art.
Yeah. It's like, just try something new and feel it out. And he was like, I have been missing out for so long. I stumbled across a group I haven't listened to in a long time. I showed it to him and he was like, dude, where have I been? And I was like, you have been in your own little bubble for like a long time.
In your snooty little snob bubble.
Exactly. He was like, and I feel so bad. He apologized. He's like, I'm sorry, dude. I feel bad.
Well, I'll tell you this. Here's the thing is that, art should challenge you.
Yeah.
And part of that challenge might be, I don't like that.
Right.
And I look at photography sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, what in the hell are you doing taking pictures like that? Like, what about that is art to you? But if you start looking at it and you start asking your question, actually, what about this picture is upsetting me and making me feel that way? Like, why am I?
But does art always have to be a good feeling?
It doesn't.
What if
it doesn't? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
what about this picture's upsetting me? What about this picture is so disturbing that I'm having a hard time looking at it or something? So art should do that to you.
If you have a good piece of art, and I know this because I have 2 of yours, or will have 2 of yours.
Yes.
I know one is abstract.
Yes.
What is the first one?
The first piece of art?
The first
piece.
That's
abstract
portrait too? That's portrait.
No, it's portrait style.
I have portrait and abstract. But if you have, and we've had the discussion about the first one, I can sit and look at it for hours.
Yeah.
It's like reading a book. It takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
You can actually, if you let it, it's going to take you and go somewhere. Isn't that kind of the point?
Yes.
Not every book is going to appeal to
everybody.
everybody.
And it can take you to places that I never intended.
That's right.
Or knew.
And it did,
right?
because I talked to you about some stuff that it took me to, and you were like, oh, wow, he really did look at this piece. He didn't just, talk to my face.
And you even caught nuances that were there that I necessarily wasn't cognitive of.
Right.
But we're there.
But
you know what I'm saying?
Isn't that the point? Why does everybody have to box everything in to the same thing? Look, let's go get 4 bottles of red wine, and we may not all like the same ones. art is the same way to me. Art should be, and I'm not an artist like you guys. I am an art enjoyer.
Yeah.
I know what I like. I know what I don't like. But I can sit there and just look at a piece for hours and let it just take me somewhere.
Yeah. So let me tell you this. I finished a piece last week, and honestly, out of the abstract work I've done, it's probably one of my favorites, and it's personal favorites. And it's
Is this mine? Is this mine?
Is this mine? I do love that one too. But this is what, and it what inspired it was the things that I have seen on the country roads here. So driving out in the country, just looking at the wood on barns and the the stuff that's in the roadkill and just the experience of
Is that the name of the piece? Roadkill?
No, but it's actually called Country Road.
Okay.
Yeah, the piece is called Country Road. So I showed it to my son when I completed it, and my son, who's 11, said, those are buildings. And there's buildings, and I see this and that. My son saw nothing of what I saw. So he looked at an abstract piece, and he saw things that I never meant for them to be there. I could see them as he was pointing them out and telling me what they were. I could see why he would interpret it that way. My daughter nails it. She goes, my wife was even blown away. I said, honey, what do you see in this picture? And she said, I see crops growing, which were the buildings.
Right.
In the other one's view. I see crops growing. I see barns. I see a snake. And so I'd created diamonds for the diamond pattern in a snake, but I connected them like a snake.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't snake shaped, but it was long like a snake and connected like a snake. And so because it was abstract, and then the scale's always off in abstract because you're not really that concerned with scale. And so it was very interesting to see one like nail everything that I thought about that. And I was sitting here like, she would be my customer for that painting. Like she gets it. What she sees and what she
but
that's
everyone's perception. I'm colorblind.
But what I was going to say is
everybody sees a picture or a portrait or a painting.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but I could also say the same thing for him. He's also my customer, because he saw in that painting something I never intended to be there, but he saw it in there anyway.
Right. Well, okay. So, I have something I want to say about like what I define as art for myself.
I can't wait to hear this.
But before I say that, if you had to give a definition for art, Stephen, what would you say? If you had to say something as far as like, what is art? Or I guess the better question is, what is art for you? What, like, if you see this and you're like, oh, this is art. Like, what is something that would...
Something subjective that invokes emotion.
I was just about... That's the same definition I was going to say. If it is something that elicits an emotional response, I think it's art in some capacity, even if it's something that I really don't like. If I look at it and I'm like, and this makes me angry and frustrated, I'm like, this is some level of art I don't understand.
I think that's
for all the people in my generation, just so you know, evoking
club was art.
Evoking, but evoking and eliciting, that just really means like, it causes you to feel something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. There's been paintings, and there's been specifically music. I have there are certain genres of music that I don't like, and I just don't understand. And sometimes it is just nonsense, but then there's sometimes I can really sit here and go, I don't like this, but I understand the emotion behind this.
Right.
I understand why they're doing it this way or something like that. And I can understand the same way with like painting and stuff.
For me, it's tap dance. It really annoys me. It gets on my nerves. It makes me anxious, and I instantly go to a bad place.
Oh,
Stop
man.
tap dancing. Stop it.
I mean, square dancing too.
You're right.
That's not art.
But I will tell you, for all you tap dancers out there, I have nothing against you. Keep doing your thing.
Art. But do you think? All right. So do you think, as we're talking though, like, so kind of tying it all together, like the person on your social media, and then going into the whatever NFT and everything. Do you think the more that it gets digitized, it's becoming less subjective and more people, it's like, it's not invoking anything but opinions anymore.
I see.
You know what I mean?
But see, I think that the things that causes those opinions are still art, because it is making people feel something, and it is, and I think that's why people are willing to pay for it. So keep on with your ghostwriting.
Right.
I would just like to encourage you in your
Yeah.
ghostwriting, and just know that that's where the world's headed. I mean, that's where things are going, and so you're on the edge of what's to come, versus following in some other thing. Now, don't get me wrong, because everybody that says, "Oh, well, I'm more comfortable back here," that's okay, because we're paying $300 or $400 for VCRs right now. So you're okay too. You're going to be all right. People, just know there's something for everyone, because there's always collectors.
Right.
And so I will say this though about art. I was like, it should make you feel something.
Of course.
Now, if you look at something and it's just not making you feel anything, it's probably not art.
I mean, yeah.
I can look at my car keys,
Right.
but that's not art.
Okay,
It
well,
doesn't-
what about the car?
what about it?
Can the car be art?
Well, a picture of it might. I mean,
What about the actual car? It had to
yeah.
go through the process. Somebody had to start, and even in the digital world today, somebody started on a piece of paper with that car. And now you go to a car show and you see this guy spend unbelievable amounts of money because that car moves him in some
if
way.
it's a car in a car ad, sure, it's art, because they're enticing you to
What
buy
about
it.
the actual car?
It might be. It
Some
might be.
cars are not art. Like
I'm sorry.
Like
I'm
the
sorry.
like the
Dude.
AMC Pacer.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude, like things
don't
in
know.
like the late 90s, early 2000s, I'm like, man, all that was just nonsense for me.
Ford
There was like
Focus,
there was a point in time where like everything before that looked really nice, and then everything after that started getting really nice.
It
There was
was-
like this window of like this.
I'd like to blame Hyundai.
Well, it
K
never-
car, Chrysler and the K car actually did.
man, everything just looks the
But what
same.
about the Pacer in the movie? What was that? Bill and Ted's.
Yeah, Bill and Ted's
Okay, that was a great. That was a great.
That's an
Great
excellent
adventures.
point. That
Okay.
is, that is a work of art.
Yeah,
and
so
people
it
pay
is.
to look at it and take pictures by it.
But it is only because it's retro now.
Oh right,
You
Man,
have to. It took a while to appreciate it.
yeah.
Now let's talk about art. Makes me happy that I just cook, because if the plate's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not.
But I will
art in
tell you,
itself. That's art
I
in
will
itself.
tell you though, your food could taste like crap and still look beautiful. I'm serious. It could still look beautiful. Am I right? I've
Yeah.
had some pretty beautiful presented
you're
food that I
I'm
thought
sorry.
I will never eat.
I'm going to
this.
say this as a chef. Food is art.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
it is.
moment when you have
Yeah.
a table full of people and they may or may not know each other, and they're sitting there and everybody's talking and cutting up and eating.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's this one moment where everybody is just eating and all you hear is the utensils on the plates and the top
And
the,
a little
the conversation
a little
stops.
foodgasm, like
There's no talking for that brief moment, and you look at everybody and they get it.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're moved emotionally by the food.
Dude, I one time had food so good at a Thanksgiving dinner, I stood up and started pouring. I was just like, oh my God.
Just can't.
I was like, this plate of
It's
food
like,
is so
oh,
freaking
man.
fantastic that I'm just
Uncontrollable.
gonna break out in
X-Man
applause.
wipes away a single tear from his eye.
Yeah, right. Thanksgiving is my
So
favorite.
I think food in itself is an art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're
like,
right.
it was also like, again, Mallory, my girlfriend, just recently for a party we were having, made a charcuterie board, and she wanted to. We have like a nice.
I love those.
We had a nice big wood like a cutting board that she like meticulously cut up all the cheese and the salami, and like had it all laid out in just the
we
right
could have
way.
one of those right now.
Oh,
That would be awesome.
I could totally do one of
Yes.
those for dinner.
And she was like, as the party was getting started, no one really wanted to dig in. 'Cause
It was so pretty, nobody wanted to touch it.
And
Yep.
so she kind of got sad. But then like as the night went over with, and she had like went to bed at that point because everyone's still kind of hanging out. Everyone's gone and over with. There was just like the carcass of what remains.
That's because
Like-
after a few drinks, you lose
Of
your
course.
inhibitions. You're like,
Exactly.
give me that.
she had said we woke up the next morning and was like, I told her, I was like, I just want you to know the charcuterie board was gone. Everyone loved it and was like, this is so amazing. And it was, and I really thanked her for all that.
I mean,
But
just that you got to. Yeah,
it was so
I don't
good.
know why. I always feel like I filled out an application to be the guy to start that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm at a party, nobody's touching it. I was like, well, I got to.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I'll be.
yeah.
Don't mind me.
Don't let the size fool you.
All right. I'll be the. I'll take-
In fact, if you ever want your dish to move really well, just go and make a whole plate of it. And then when everybody's looking around and you're like just talking to them, like, they're
Yeah.
like, what are you having? Oh my gosh. Have you
Right.
tried it? You didn't have any? Oh, I'm sorry.
We-
It's like
talked-
if you go to a Chinese restaurant and then they they refresh it and they put the spoon right there. So
Yeah,
it's
you're on it.
inviting.
You're gonna,
Well,
you're
when
gonna
you
hit
when
it.
you go to a Mexican restaurant and somebody orders fajitas, they automatically start cooking 2 more orders because they know somebody else is going to
Gonna
want to
go
order
behind
that.
it.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But like
I love fajitas.
Oh my
I just
gosh,
like
so
the
do
whole experience of them.
I don't
smoke.
even need to put it
Right.
in the bread. I just kind of mix it all up, chop it up together, put all the stuff in it, and
Yeah.
just eat it just like that.
Sometimes if we have fajitas on Sunday, we'll go to church, and then after church on Sundays we'll get fajitas. Sometimes when I go home, I take a nap after I get home, and then I wake up and I put my shirt back on, and it has that beefy onion smell, and I'm like, dang, I smell good, like So
I was
it is
I was
art.
with you until you lost me.
Hey, did you know? You know where you can still get gas for $1.39 now?
Oh gosh, no.
Taco Bell.
wow.
So we've talked a lot about art, and especially like digital art, like as far as like paintings and art form in that regard. But I think that, like you said, we're in changing times where everything's going digital now. But I do think there are some things that have to be physical, that have to be experiential, and I think some of that is food, like you talked about. But I have recently, in the past couple of years or so, have really gotten a taste for different whiskeys and different bourbons and scotches of all
Dude, your bar
varieties.
is art.
And so,
trust me.
And so, but it's that, because again, that also comes from the place of like being a coffee maker and like having worked as a barista for a long time, is like having this like that in and of itself, I think, is an art form of like making coffee and tea in such a delicate and wonderful way. And then also seeing this process that takes 10, 12, 18 years sometimes to make this wonderful whiskey or bourbon or something of some variety. And I think,
check this out, though.
What's that?
What if the metaverse,
Oh gosh.
this is going to sound crazy, but what if the metaverse comes up with a way to, like, have whiskey or something like that?
And
So
you-
instead of having to go to, was the Total Wine Barn? What
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
You can automatically on hand just put your little, whatever, however you
Right.
experience the metaverse.
Figure
and then
it,
it's there.
like figure out a way for it to be experiential
Yeah.
for
I
you through
have-
the metaverse. It'll happen. I guarantee it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
I have learned through my
They can
life.
control your site. They can control other things. It'll be smell and it'll be taste soon.
and we're going to be just
be
whiskeyed
just
out
a
looking
minute.
for the
That's-
red pill, blue pill.
What I'd love is like if I could eat something anti-fat, like it would concave me instead of blow me up.
Wow, yeah.
That I could taste. Like if you gave me like a pot roast, metaverse pot roast that had negative 400 calories, I'll be freaking subscribing to you, man. I'll be following you,
see, I
subscribing
see.
you.
Or just bacon,
Bacon jam.
What if you
Bacon
had
jam with goat
jam?
cheese.
Bacon jam. Man, maybe I need to figure out a way to make bacon jam.
Dude,
with
I know
cheese.
what. Let's just start cranking them out.
Yeah.
Metaverse
We gotta
bacon
get
jam.
on
Right.
this.
We
Yeah.
we do. And don't you be taking our idea, listeners.
Nah.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you what.
We're on this.
We probably just made somebody a millionaire. And the rest of you we offended, so get over it.
It'll be totally
Zuckerberg's
fine.
going to shut us down.
Oh, is
Just-
that right?
Yeah.
He'll be like, these kids are brilliant. Maybe they'll hire us. Maybe we're the next gen.
Right.
There we go.
We're the next gen
The
of
metaverse think tank.
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
If we are for hire, we're expensive, but but just so you know, if you're listening out there, and we know you are because you're our big brother, and you tell me
Right.
to buy things that I just talked about to my wife, basically, we pimp out pretty cheap.
Yeah.
We're just called Bacon Jam and Whiskey
At least,
NFTs.
at least one of us was in the Guinness Book of
LLC.
World Records.
Stephen,
I'm
yeah.
a big fan
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
what?
My penis was in the Guinness Book of World Records for a while.
Wait,
Until the librarian told me I had to take it out.
Oh my lord.
Man.
Oh.
I mean, now there are just some things I can't get out of my mind, even if it's
I
not
totally
metaverse.
thought you bought a penis NFT, and if you would like me to write a story,
No, I
1,000
would
words or
not.
less,
No,
I
thank
mean,
you.
it'd be like 2,000 words.
I just we got to talk about something else because I can't like
Rabbits
cannot
and puppy
close
dogs.
this episode with Tony's penis. I'm sorry.
about fajitas.
Is there okay?
Fajitas.
So is there an experience that you've had, like an artistic experience or something along those lines that you've had recently that sticks out as a story you would like to tell? Anything? Like I said, we just recently went to Total Wine. We've talked about this for a long time, but that place was an experience in and of itself. Being able to see all these different varieties of
Well, yeah.
wine and whiskeys and
Okay, yeah. Like, I mean, because I'm telling you, I got hyper focused on this thing, so I was kind of
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was stuck on this rabbit hole of the NFT, and I had to find out what it was, and then
Yeah.
that's how I got introduced to the metaverse and everything. So that's how I keep rattling on about it. But it was Mardi Gras, and I went down to New Orleans, and there was like I went to the French Quarter there, and I don't know if you've been there before, but there's like all the artists by like, Jackson Square and everything like that. And I was thinking, what would Jackson Square be like if there was no need for hanging pictures on the wall? If it's just a white room with your, metaverse
Headset,
goggles and, you know what I mean? Or would the people...
But how far away are we really from that?
Nice.
Look at the game Skyrim. It's open world. There are games that people put these driving chairs in them, and they go out and they laser measure all of the racetracks in the Grand Prix, and the drivers actually use those to practice the curves and the turns to memorize them. Mm-hmm. How far are we really away
Here's what
from
I
that?
think is going to happen, Stoney. Here's what I think, and I'm not kidding about this. I think the metaverse is going to be kind of the lobby for experiences, for real experiences. Mm-hmm. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think that you're going to be sold a trip to Jamaica one day, and you're going to put on your goggles and you're going to go to Jamaica and you're going to experience it and you're going to have all the fun in the world and blah, blah, blah. And that's going to be $5,000. Or you can get on a plane and you can go to the real Jamaica for $20,000. Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that, and I think the same thing is going to be true for space travel. And I think the same thing. I think the metaverse is actually going to be the default destination, and then the real experiences are going to end up being the top tier.
They've already kind of done that for concerts. There are some very big concerts that if you can't make it there in person, you can just VR your way into it.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's like
for a little bit less money,
because it's all going to be about space.
That is Total Recall. Like that is
Yeah.
we're like, is this in Matrix or Total
It is,
Recall?
right.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
because he came from like the work colony,
Yeah.
and that's where.
Right.
So here's the deal. You can make the little bit of money or you can make a lot of money on the experience. So I think the real experience is actually going to be the premium thing, because I think that people are not going to be able to afford the real experience unless they've got some real money. Mm-hmm. And that's because it's going to become more and more a premium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about going down there and seeing art in person being hung up. I was like, what if there's actually nothing there,
right,
but you have to physically be there, and then you put on goggles that then show you the same world, but then with like art around it. You know what I'm saying?
But think about who that
Was
helps.
but
I mean, if you're going to Disneyland, my 70-year-old grandpa probably wants to experience that virtually.
Of course.
So does,
but I'm just talking
my
about
friend
like,
with wheelchair.
I'm talking about the fact of like, you can't like VR your way
That's
in
a
there.
really good idea. You're nailing
for
that
handicap
right
accessibility, for seniors, for people who are under height or
even
under
like
age
these driving cars that they have for the games that are on all these hydraulics.
Right.
You could put somebody, strap them up into it, put the VR headset on, and they could actually, what is it?
And time's a premium. To travel to and from places takes time.
Spider-Man adventure in Universal, where they were blowing hot air on you, splashing you with water. You're on a roller coaster that doesn't move.
Yeah.
But it's all 3D, and you think you're going somewhere and you don't. They blow, and it was, you were immersed. You thought you were really doing all of this.
I think the real thing, though, is going to be the premium.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think the experience. And if you see your generation, Ian, is the one who's actually bringing that about, because you guys are proving that you want more experiences.
Oh yeah,
you're spending your money on them. You're not spending your money on having families and homes and big expensive things. You're spending your money on, hey, let's go travel the world. Let's go. So think about what the millennial generation is actually spending their money on and what their focus is, and then think about their kids and their kids. You know, so I agree with you. It may not take as long, as we think.
And another, like you were talking about, the being able to be immersed inside a car is the newest version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Is like one of the few like really, really good ones right now. And for basically, for the right amount of money and the right amount of practice, you can like fly an actual like 747 Boeing jet, like from where you're at, where your hometown is, all the way like across the country if you wanted to. Like, and it has like Google Maps like specific location where like you can actually go to like the actual airport, like just all digitally. And it's
Can
like,
you imagine like fighting a real drone war?
Yeah.
But
Sign me
actually,
up.
like
Oh,
you can
sign me
sign
up.
up right now.
I'm ready.
Speaking of, I just recently watched a video of somebody in a booth with like 4 different screens, and he had a whole chair with like joysticks and everything on it, and he was driving an excavator. He was located in Arizona, but he was doing excavation work.
Wow.
I did that on a bulldozer. They asked me. I used to operate bulldozers.
It was in Las Vegas, so
And-
he was like a whole state over, just like
Just
piloting
doing
this
it. That's crazy.
excavator.
Wow.
They asked me if I would be willing to be part of a program, a test program,
Yeah.
to see if it could be done.
Well, you already.
Hold on.
That's
Hold
what
on. Hear
happened
me
to
out.
him.
Hear me out. So I said yes. And they sent all of the equipment out. And I was operating a bulldozer on a dump. So where they would bring the trucks, they would dump the dirt, and I had to push it on a pile. Unbeknownst to me,
Uh-oh.
all of a sudden, one of the cameras went out. Turn around, looked at the other one. Somebody hit the camera with a bat. They were trying to break a strike.
Oh, interesting.
And so they were
They
wondering
were showing them that
it could be done without
them,
yes.
without the labor.
Oh my gosh.
We can
That is
replace
crazy.
you with
Yes.
virtual
oh my
labor
gosh, that's
Yes.
so
from
cool.
other places. That's
And when I
See-
realized that, and I'm not the biggest union
Man, that's
supporter,
tough.
but
That's
when
like
I
some
realized they
trash
lied
right
to
there.
me, I shut it down
yeah.
and said, "Come get your shit."
I thought
Yeah.
you were going to say you were in Ukraine or something. like
Right,
that.
right.
Like just
It was all a facade. He was piloting construction work, but literally he was controlling a tank or something.
Oh God,
No,
there was
yeah.
a movie
Okay,
about
imagine-
that.
dude,
Yeah.
where have you been? Like, I'm so excited you brought this, and I've really
Yeah.
enjoyed you being here tonight. Like, this is
thank you guys.
this has been a lot of fun.
Next
and-
time,
and
bring
thanks-
food.
Yeah, Steve-O, we need some art next time.
I will paint.
But this has been really fun. Thank you. That was what a great, fascinating topic, and we really
Yes.
enjoyed having you on the show
It was
tonight.
wonderful.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I
That's
appreciate it.
wonderful.
Hey, I got one thing to say before we shut this one off.
What's that?
In the course of 3 days, I have lost almost 50 years worth of friendships.
Oof.
I had someone die Saturday and someone die Monday. Man, say something to people. Tell them you love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hug somebody when you want to.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on. And just enjoy what you have with the people around you right now, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
You're right.
So
right.
You're right.
Yep.
I mean, that I recently started a bi-weekly get-together with a bunch of people because I feel like the past couple of years I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody or like really have that one-on-one communication with people. I totally get it.
Connection and relationships, you'll never regret them. They're the things that matter the most.
They're the true
even
premium.
like on
And
True
they're
premium.
more important than your opinion.
Yeah.
Definite art.
in,
Definite
in,
art.
in our last podcast, we got kind of heated.
Right. Right.
And
man.
some people, I heard some response to that, and they really liked it,
Yeah.
and they hated it all at the same time.
Of course.
because they thought we were really mad at each other.
Right.
And I was like, okay, look, for about 10 seconds,
All right.
but we talked, and
Yeah.
everything's fine.
Yes.
But tell people what you're really feeling, because it's important. The world is going crazy right now, and I don't want to sound like old softy, but hug somebody, tell them you love them,
Right.
and don't let the little things get to you.
And most importantly,
Feelings.
most importantly,
Nothing more than feelings.
And eat fajitas.
Right.
And eat fajitas.
if you get one thing out of this show today,
Fajitas.
I hope we offended at least one person out
I
there.
know that I offended
So-
tap dancers.
Yeah, that-
Sorry, guys.
Oddly enough, I
And
don't
girls.
think I offended anybody.
Oh,
And
man.
normally I'm the massive
That's because
offender.
you're on good behavior.
Wait, so you didn't offend anybody, and then you had the soft hug everybody? Are you okay?
Yeah, right.
Right,
Is everything okay
Oh,
with
wait,
you?
I did do the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's
There was
definitely
that
somebody
whole
out
thing
there.
about your
Poor
Somebody's
librarian.
offended. Never mind.
Ew, we are not ending on your
Anyway.
digital penis.
Anyways, so, as per usual, you
Okay,
can type
take a
in-
vote. Take a vote.
Take
If
a
Steven comes back, there has to be
I-
bacon butter or
Your bacon jam and
Bacon
goat
jam.
cheese.
Bacon
Yes,
butter. Okay.
yes.
Okay, okay.
And
all in
fajitas.
favor. Aye.
Right.
And fajitas.
Just make sure there's coffee. I want pancakes too.
Okay, I'll make it happen.
Indian's bar. We're good.
There you go.
I mean, it'll
Okay.
be like a celebration.
But if you're trying to find us, you can type in Retrospect Pod on Facebook, and you can, of course, reach out to us that way. Or you can type in Linktree/Retrospect Pod and find all of our links there. We're on all the major podcasting platforms, as per usual. If you can give us a 5-star review, that'd be sick. We appreciate it. But until next time, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for joining Steven. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Peace.